Hello, everyone, and welcome back. So, what's on tap for today? Well, we are continuing our series on the Politicon debates between Cenk Uygur and Tucker Carlson. It's going to be part four of the debates, and this time they're talking a little bit about Trump and money in politics. And we're going to get to all that the next few seconds, folks. But before we do so, we just want to let you know you're watching the Dr. Nasir Shaikh Show. I'm your guest host for today. My name is Dr. Nasir. If you haven't already done so, subscribe to our channel. Hit that notification bell, like, share, and follow us. Comment below. Let us know what you think. Let's get to part four of Cenk versus Tucker.
It was a great conversation, and what I love about it is we didn't mention Trump at all during that, and so I think that's a good indicator that we're getting deeper into the issues here. So I want to just transition to the other big topic I wanted to touch on, and in that last conversation, we talked about the role of big business. And Tucker, you've made the point before that, when we're so overly fixated on Trump, we miss out on some of the key underlying forces and policies that made a country, so angry. And Cenk, this is a topic you've talked a lot about in terms of the systemic corruption that's been in government that people on the left and the right have been extremely angry about. Trump talked about drain the swamp. People on the left say unrig the system. How would you say we're doing on that right now? And what do you think we would need to get to actually drain the swamp? And then I want to get your thoughts on that too, Tucker.
Yeah, I want to get Tucker's thoughts too. I'm very curious about that, and I mean that very, very genuinely. Because he's more populist than I think that a lot of the left give him credit for. So, in terms of how we're doing, miserably. It's about as bad as it can get. The corruption is rampant. It has taken over the system entirely. It's an absolute joke that corporations are human beings, that they have speech rights. And that somehow giving billions of dollars to politicians, whether it's Hillary Clinton or the Republican Party, is speaking to them? No, it's bribing them. That's what it is. And so
Legal bribery.
And this is a very rare sentence for me to say, was smart to say drain the swamp. You know why? Because both Republican and Democratic, and most importantly independent voters, can't stand the corruption. And they can't stand the swamp. And they're absolutely right about that. Now, of course, the problem is Donald Trump is a pathological liar.
Boo! Oh, he got slammed for that, folks. He got slammed for that.
And I don't know if Tucker can say that or can or will not, but he knows it. Everybody knows it. And he lies every day, 7 times a day, oftentimes twice in a sentence. So when he said he was going to drain the swamp, what did he do? He came in. Here, a great example. He said, all right, I'm going to negotiate Medicare drug prices under Medicare. This is an outrage. Well, that's a very popular position. Every sensible person agrees to that. And what did he do? He immediately came and said, just kidding. It turns out they're bribing me. No, I'm not going to negotiate prices. I'm going to do just the same thing as all other presidents have done. And now, mind you, Obama did the same thing. Now, Obama would have the excuse that, well, I was negotiating a complicated deal, etc. Yeah. You ran an ad saying that what Bush had done was an outrage in not allowing us to negotiate drug prices, and then you struck the same exact deal, and so did Trump. Trump's a liar. He loves the corruption. He bathes in the corruption. So it's as bad as it could possibly be. And so my question to you, Tucker, is, do you believe in the 28th Amendment to get money out of politics?
All right, we'll get to that. So Cenk here obviously playing to his base in the crowd, playing to, the way that you're supposed to play it, right? I mean, we're doing the same thing. We love Trump. We're America first, MAGA all the way. So sure, we're going to look for the shiny examples of our guy and try to limit the examples that show the person in a bad light. But, Cenk just went out there, raw meat, basically, throw the raw meat out there to the crowd. Cenk's a liar, pathological 24/7. He lies in his sentence once, not twice, but 4, 5, 6, 7 times in the same sentence, and then twice on Sundays. I mean, he just threw it out there. So he got his point. And then he comes back to basically say, okay, what do you think about this, Tucker? What do you think? Are you going to say the same thing? Can you or not? Anyways, I don't know if there was he scored the points for his own, political for his political agenda. Let's go on.
I'll reframe the question. So I do want to get your thoughts on money and politics, but maybe the way I'll frame it is, you just wrote a book called Ship of Fools, and you talk about this self-indulgent culture of elites and the ruling class. So I wanted you to say more about specifically, who are those folks, what are they doing, and then what types of reforms, maybe money and politics and or other things, do we need to start looking at?
Well, let me just say to the Trump question, I would just say a couple things very fast. One, of all the criticisms leveled at Trump, he's a compulsive liar thing, to me, it's the least sort of interesting. I mean, I actually think that the truth about Trump is he is what he seems to be. Like, I've known a lot of politicians, and they really are two different people. The person on stage who's, children are our future. And then off stage is like, where are the hookers? They're totally different. I mean, they are. And they are, almost all of them. Trump is kind of what we said we wanted. I mean, he really is. I've known him for 20 years, he's come in the media. He's pretty much exactly the same in person. I don't think, maybe you say, well, he's one-dimensional, and okay, whatever. Yeah, okay. But sort of if you watch one of his speeches, that's literally what he's like. There's no other agenda. So you either like that or you don't, or you have mixed feelings about it or whatever. I personally think it's maybe the least interesting part of the moment we're going through. And your question was, it's like we're missing a lot. I used to drink too much, like way too much. And every Sunday morning I'd wake up for a certain period of my life and I would have no memory of what happened the night before. And so I'd have to go sort of through forensically with my wife, like, so we were at the restaurant, what happened then? And then, like, how do we get home? And that's how all of America's going to...
If you just saw this right now, if you saw Cenk a little bit, when he's talking about that, I'll go back to it just to show you. Cenk's like, oh, wow, what's he talking about? Just take a look at Cenk and how he sort of beforehand, this thing whole comes up. So let's go back to that and let's rewind that just slightly.
Okay, whatever. Yeah, okay. But sort of if you watch one of his speeches, that's literally what he's like. There's no other agenda. So you either like that or you don't, or you have mixed feelings about it or whatever. I personally think it's maybe the least interesting part of the moment we're going through. And your question was, it's like we're missing a lot. I used to drink too much, like way too much.
Watch Cenk.
And every Sunday morning I'd wake up for a certain period of my life and I would have no memory of what happened the night before. And so I'd have to go sort of through forensically with my wife, like, so we were at the restaurant, what happened then? And then, like, how do we get home? And that's how all of America's going to feel when this is over. Do you know what I mean? It's like the whole society's being transformed into this sort of easy thing to do, and all the dumb cable chin tuggers do it. It's like, Trump, can you believe it? It's like, part of me is like, really, how outraged can you sustain this outrage like indefinitely before you die of a stroke? Maybe, we'll see. But you're also kind of not covering the things that are really happening, which is American society is inverting, and the middle class is dying, and like nobody cares. Trump is a cover for everything on both sides. It's and trust me, I'm not an intellectual, but even I am like, this is too dumb, even for me. As for the money and politics thing, yeah, look, it's very frustrating to confront the truth, which is people who have more money and power have more influence in a system in which influence is supposed to be spread equally among everyone. So it's inherently anti-democratic. I just have been in D.C. for so long, and I've seen all these different schemes to get money out of politics. I'm sort of temperamentally for all of them, I guess. But you bump up right away against this thing called speech. So can you really tell someone he's not allowed or she's not allowed to express political views during a certain period? It's like, actually, you can't. So it's a little more complicated, but I would say it's even more complicated because the real threat to the democracy, the campaign finance system is stupid. Probably nothing you say I disagree with. But I don't think it's the real threat. The real threat is the massive concentrations of power outside government. So I grew up a conservative, pretty doctrine, I guess, sort of doctrinaire conservative, and I was taught my whole life that the real threat to liberty was the federal government because it was the most powerful entity, right? That's not at all the case. I mean, the beauty of the federal government is that it's so inefficient that it takes a long time to hurt you because they can't get their act together. Do you know what I mean? The people who run the post office are not, in the end, an existential threat to you because they're too lame, okay? Google is not lame. Google's technology Google right now, for just give you one of the 1,000 examples, has 20,000 engineers working just on its search feature. Okay, these are people with advanced degrees, make between $200,000 and $500,000 a year just on Google search. There are 20,000 of them. There has never been a technological entity or an entity of any kind as powerful as Google. Now, I'm not saying Google is evil, though I think increasingly I do think that they are. But even if they weren't, that is too much power in the hands of too few with no transparency whatsoever. At the heart of Google is the algorithm, and nobody knows what it is. You don't need to be Ray Bradbury to think through what might happen if they decided to subvert democracy or to re-rank search results. What effect would that have on voting patterns? You reach the conclusion very quickly, if you think about it, they'd be in control of your country. That is a huge threat to all of us. And it's not just Google, of course. It's many other tech platforms that basically control speech in effect. And so in the face of this, you have Republicans. Republicans are so easy to control. All you say is markets, and they're like, oh, I'm so sorry. Did I criticize the free market? You know what, Monsignor? Forgive me. And then Democrats are very easy to control, too. You're just like, look, we'll help you keep power. And they're like, oh, cool, all right. So what about everybody else? We stand on the brink of having a democracy that doesn't mean anything because, in the end, our collective powers expressed in government has been totally outclassed by private power in the technology sector, and no one is saying anything.
This was absolutely amazing, folks. This was an absolutely amazing. And the thing here, I think that, I think Cenk went in this debate, I think the wrong way. In my opinion, is that his strategy is that I'm going to play gotcha. I'm going to basically just show, that this is a right-wing, populist, bigoted, racist, homophobic, LGBT hating, Islamophobic, everything phobic, world phobic. That's what this Tucker Carlson is, from the right, from Fox News. And I think he just wanted to ask those questions and kept asking questions. Now, Tucker would give these great answers and had a lot of substance, a lot of punches, packed right inside there. And like he said, he goes, okay, yeah, you know what? All right, I can see in terms of money and politics. Yeah, okay, fine. If you think so, I sort of agree with you a little bit on this and that and whatever. But he said, look, corporations, this is what spins the left. This is what spins them out of their minds. Because now the corporations have speech, but they utilize the same thing. The Democrats do the same thing. It's every day. The rules are there. Republicans, Democrats, Independents, whoever you are, you're running, use the rules that are there for the election process and follow and abide by them. But the fact of the matter is just like Tucker was saying, it's not the stuff that's out there in the open. What do I care if Apple takes out some ads and puts them out there, or Google puts ads out there, or some other entity, whatever it is, some company, corporation, I don't care what it is. Walt Disney, whatever. They put it out there. McDonald's, Burger King, they want to put their message. We're smart enough. We can say, you know what? Hey, that's a good message. I like that. I think I'm going to follow what they're saying, or I'm going to buy what they're advertising, and I like them or whatever, and I'm going to go in their direction. Or you know what? Holy crap, I didn't know they thought like this. Really? Hey, guess what? I'm not going to shop there. I'm not going to give my business there. I don't think they're right on this subject. Blah, 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 blah. Okay? That's the way it works. So it's not the stuff that's out there. It's the stuff that's happening below. Like I said, we know Google. What have they done when they were working with China? Remember Operation Dragonfly, censoring China? What about when Google was in other countries helping them with the elections, manipulating in terms of search engines so certain things couldn't come to the top when you did the search? And in effect, okay, delegitimizing, disenfranchising some of those people to know the entire story that was going on in terms of policies that were being put forth by various people running for offices in those countries that Google was basically helping in. And the people in power used Google to say, hey, look, can you help us out a little bit over here? And that's what he's talking about. So it's the stuff that happens underneath, the subterfuge underneath, that stuff that we can't see. That's the stuff that we should be concerned about. And speech, absolutely, speech is the number one thing. Everything emanates in this country for democracy to flourish is the freedom of speech. You squelch that, you start screwing around with that, you start working around the edges over it, you will delegitimize a society so fast it's unbelievable. Anyways, folks, we appreciate you taking the time to watch. Thanks for watching part 4 of the Cenk versus Tucker debates. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Like, share, and follow us. Comment below. Let us know what you think. You've been watching the Dr. Nasir Shaikh Show. I've been your guest host. My name is Dr. Nasir, and I'll leave you with my final thought, which is, when you're right, you're right, and when you're left, you're wrong. See you again next time, folks. Take care and stay safe.